if you have consumer debt, it doesn't matter if it's $5,000, $500, or $500,000. It makes sense to get a debt defense attorney. I see so many people who turn to these debt settlement companies, national companies who have a large presence. And while there's not anything inherently wrong with doing business with one of these bigger companies, I do often see that their fees are very high. They have these weird escrow accounts where you never know how much is being saved for settlement and how much is actually going to their fees. And so many times when people sign up with one of these debt settlement companies, debt management companies, they end up getting sued. These debt settlement companies, very rarely do they defend a lawsuit. And if they do, what they actually do is they outsource it to some random attorney. And you never know who is getting hired, if they're actually showing up on your behalf. And so over the years, I've heard so many times in talking to clients and going back and having to fix situations that were mishandled by other companies where the client says, hey, I had this as a part of my debt settlement plan with such and such company. And as we look into it and we investigate it, what we see is that while all their other accounts were resolved and taken care of, maybe they had difficulty with a particular creditor, or it was turned over to a law firm for litigation or for some sort of legal collections, and they weren't able to get the matter resolved. A lawsuit was then subsequently filed, and nobody defended that lawsuit or defended it properly, and it resulted in the creditor winning the lawsuit and getting what is called a judgment, a civil money judgment, meaning that they can, in most states, take action that they could not take before to collect on this debt. So a lot of times people are under the impression that whenever you default on credit cards or loans, your credit is going to be impacted. You're going to get a ding. It may be difficult for you to get credit in the future, but there's really no other ramifications or any sort of negative aspects to that. And the truth is that once a judgment is rendered, they can take action against you that they couldn't take before. In many states allow for wage garnishment. In Texas, we don't allow wage garnishment. Our wonderful state, we don't let them go to your employer and get 25% of your paycheck. But once your paycheck hits your bank account, they can take 100% of your paycheck. So before you go out there and do business with one of these big box debt settlement companies, I highly encourage you to reach out to a debt defense attorney, get some consultations. Oftentimes, the fees are lower. There are no escrow accounts, and it's just a smoother overall process because that attorney can defend the lawsuit if it goes to litigation or if the creditor becomes impatient and decides to file a lawsuit before the matter is resolved. Know your rights. Shop around. Don't just fall into kind of the big box business scheme. This is a broader conversation, but look for local counsel. Look for attorneys who can help and somebody who's looking out for your